A win is a win is a win is a win, but my goodness, was that ugly.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Happy Victory Monday to you. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Cleveland Browns 23-20 and improved to 11-4 on the season. I am happy that the Buffalo Bills won this football game, but it was a very frustrating journey filled with lots of mistakes. And I figured the Bills offense would have some challenges against a really good Browns defense that was at home, right? The Bills offense on the road, but Buffalo's defense against that Browns offense is something that really frustrated me quite a bit. Now, the Bills are 11-4. They have a chance to win every game because of Josh Allen and that rushing offense, but the lack of impact at wide receiver and the shortcomings of that defensive front seven can create for some challenging circumstances to overcome, as evidenced by this game. The Bills, with 11 wins now in 2025, that's 6 years in a row. Only 5 teams in the history of the NFL have ever logged 11 or more wins for 6 seasons in a row. So let's do what we do here. We'll talk things I liked. We'll talk things I didn't like. We'll recap my predictions, and we'll talk about what's next. Now, let me address something real quick here, because I know that there's probably going to be some people that are going to listen to this podcast and say, we're complaining about wins. We're complaining about wins. The misery of winning. I understand that, but look, and the first thing I told you is that I was happy that the Bills won this football game. But as I said on the Bills Squad show, my promise to you as a podcaster is that I'm going to be honest and tell you how I feel. And I'm not just going to sit here and paint this rosy picture of this football game because the Bills won it. I'm going to be honest with you about what I liked as well as what I didn't like. And there's things to get into on both sides of that. So let's do it. We'll start with things I liked offensively. And that, of course, is James Cook. 16 rushes for 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, spectacular touchdown run on the opening drive. It was dazzling. And it was one of those touchdown runs that, as I was watching it, and you probably do this too, you're telling James Cook what he's supposed to do with the ball. He didn't do anything I told him to do, and he scored a touchdown. So good job not listening to me. That was a sensational run, a dazzling run for sure. Then he extends it for his other touchdown, has a catch for 17 yards. James Cook accounts for 134 yards from scrimmage in this game. Keep in mind, the Bills only had 259 yards. 52% of the offense came courtesy of James Cook. And, of course, 2 of the 3 touchdowns. And James Cook just continues to have a monster season, 9th 100-yard rushing game. He's over 1,500 yards, 1,532 yards for James Cook. That's the 3rd most ever by a Buffalo Bill in a single season. I think O.J. Simpson had, of course, the 2,000-something yards. He had over 1,800, and then it's this year from James Cook. He's awesome, right? Awesome football player. And I think you could look at the overall rushing offense and be happy with it, right? Of course, James Cook is your catalyst. But collectively, you have 29 rushes for 164 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 consecutive rushing touchdowns to start the game. Ty Johnson, of course, with a rushing touchdown, had some good moments. Ray Davis had some good moments running the football. Thought Josh Allen had a few good runs. That 3rd and 2 I really enjoyed. They all had their moments. Of course, James Cook is your catalyst. And so I think when you get into the offensive discussion and things that you like, it's James Cook. And of course, you give credit to the offensive line blocking down the field. It was a very good collective rushing performance. Now, there's not a lot to enjoy about the passing offense, but I thought it had some moments. 21-yard strike to Tyrell Shavers. Jackson Hawes with 2 very clutch receptions. Pretty sure they both went for first downs. Khalil Shakir had a big 18-yard catch. Ray Davis with a big 14-yard catch. Dawson Knox with a 10-yard catch that results in a first down. So you had some moments passing the football, but I think the Bills obviously wanted to play this game offensively a certain type of way. And that type of way was to minimize Myles Garrett's impact in this game. I don't think I've ever seen the Bills offense be so game plan specific in terms of scheming around a defensive player. And we've seen them go up against really good players, Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, other premier edge players, but nothing. I've never seen anything change the way the Bills play a game offensively quite like what happened here against Myles Garrett, where, very intentionally from the outset, when they passed the ball, it was rolling out to the right. So you're making Myles Garrett chase, right? Because he's a right side defensive end rushing from the offensive left. A lot of rollouts to the right. Pretty much every run play was to the right, and they just made him chase. And I'm pretty sure Myles Garrett played just about every defensive snap in the game. And the Bills just wanted to make him chase and chase and chase and chase and chase. Now, that limited the offense in some ways, where you probably should have ran the ball right at Myles Garrett a few times and trusted that James Cook would sort it out and make the blocks right. That was probably a missed opportunity. But ultimately, they minimized Myles Garrett. They didn't give away the football, and they only took 2 negative plays the entire game, and that was the 2 sacks. Now, I think Myles Garrett had an impact on both of those plays. We'll talk about them a little bit more and things I didn't like, but in this type of game, and I talked about this in some of the final conversations we had, in this type of game, I even said, it's okay to punt, just get out of there with a win, and they did. Now, it's a frustrating journey for sure, but ultimately an offensive performance where the run game carries them, at least early. It certainly turtled up towards the end, right? I mean, Bills had a lot of production early running the ball. It really diminished down the stretch, but got what it needed to get done with 3 rushing touchdowns. You mitigate negative plays, you take away Myles Garrett's impact in the game, and you get out of there with a win. And so that formula obviously gets the Bills in the win column, and we'll take it. All right, we had a big game from Greg Rousseau and Jordan Poyer, and we'll talk about that here on the other side of it. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. Car shopping should feel exciting, not confusing. And with Car Gurus, you get the confidence you deserve. They cut through all the noise so you actually can see the best deals on the cars you want, because when it comes to a big purchase, you deserve the best deal. And Car Gurus makes the whole process simple by giving you real information, real deal ratings, and more listings than anyone else, so you can shop the way that you want. You can use Car Gurus deal ratings to compare cars quickly without having to guess whether the price is fair. And you're going to love being able to filter by so many different things, whether that's mileage, trim, features, so that you're only seeing the cars that actually fit what you want. You got to love their price drop alerts. That's a lifesaver. You're going to get notified the second a car you're watching becomes a better deal. And look, having verified dealerships and upfront pricing makes the whole thing feel transparent and stress-free. So check it out. Car Gurus connects you with trusted dealerships for a transparent and hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings, the most of any major online automotive marketplace, you're always going to find the best deal. So shop the way you want with the tools, data, and unbiased ratings that make it all easy. So buy or sell your next car today at cargurus.com. That's CARGURUS.com. Cargurus.com. All right, welcome back, folks. We're going to talk more about things I liked, and we're going to focus now on the defensive side of the football. And there are some players that I want to highlight that I thought had a really strong game. Of course, Greg Rousseau, the headliner in this one, he was highly disruptive, has 2.5 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, and some big-time drive stoppers, whether it was the sack on Dylan Gabriel, where he came into the game briefly when Sheduer Sanders was dealing with that bloody pinky. He was able to get that sack. Had another drive ender, had the sack that he combined with Poyer, the pressure that resulted in the intentional grounding. Greg Rousseau was highly disruptive. And I figured he was going to be able to handle that matchup against Cam Robinson, who's been stealing money from NFL teams for a long time. I don't know how or why. If anyone ever watched him play, you could tell he's just highly inconsistent, has no technique, has no body control. And Greg Rousseau was able to dominate him for pretty much the entire game. And so this was a ripe opportunity for Greg Rousseau to disrupt and stack splash plays, and he did exactly that. So wherever you are on the Greg Rousseau conversation, I know that there's people that are big fans of him and can appreciate what he brings to the table. There's others that will say he's a waste of money and doesn't make enough impact. I talked on Herd Mentality last week about where I stand on this conversation. I think he's an excellent football player. I wish that he made more splash plays, A-plus run defender. But this was a type of matchup that was ripe for him to dominate, and he did exactly that. And so for today, I think everyone could be really happy with Greg Rousseau. How about Jordan Poyer? This guy was awesome. 11 tackles, an interception, a tackle for loss, a half a sack, pass breakup, a quarterback hit. Poe showed up in this game in a big way. In a game where it felt like there was a lot of instability with the Bills' defense, he was able to trigger downhill, make physical tackles, and that style that he played with, the instinctive, fast to flow, get to the football, it rewarded him, right? Obviously, the interception is because the running backs, doesn't really sense the ball is going to come, and it hits off his shoulder pads up in the air. But Jordan Poyer, playing fast, physical, and instinctive, makes a play. Combines with Rousseau for a sack. I mean, he's flying around. The big tackle for loss, sniffed it out, drove on the football, made a play. And that limited to them to a field goal. Huge, right? Jordan Poyer was a tone-setting, play-making presence in this game. He's having a great year, right? Can we be honest about it? Jordan Poyer's been really strong. And it took a little time. He wasn't in camp. He gets signed, out of nowhere, seemingly, on the practice squad. And before you know it, he's coming in and starting. And so I'm just really impressed by what he's been able to do. And certainly this was an exclamation point type performance from Poe. How about Matt Milano? What is this, 2021? Milano, Poyer out there making splash plays. I thought Milano continued kind of like this late surge. I think he's been pretty decent this year, but obviously further removed from the pec injury early on. And I think you're seeing him play fast and confident, making plays. You see the physicality showing up. You see the instincts. It's been a nice little stretch here for Matt Milano, and that's what they're going to need from him in the postseason. Really down the stretch here is to make Matt Milano type plays, because this defense needs all the help they can get with splash plays. And Milano, when he's flying around, he's got a chance to make them. How about Joey Bosa in this game? The play that he made to deflect the pass and Daquan Jones to intercept it was phenomenal. They were killing. Cleveland was killing the Bills with moving the pocket, having outbreaking patterns towards the sideline. Sheduer Sanders just kind of hitting them. And it's a lot of that's Harold Fannin, right? This good catch and run tight end that they have, a rookie out of Bowling Green. He's a good young player. And Bosa did a good job of just not letting him get into the route distribution. And he shuts that down, and Sheduer Sanders has no idea what to do with the ball. And Bosa gets his hands on the pass, deflects it into Daquan Jones. And so, just a beautiful job by Bosa on that particular play. Ultimately, look, I take a lot of exception with the defense, which I'm going to get into. But they got the big stops, right? They did it again. The last 3 drives, they got the stops. The Browns had a chance 3 different times in the fourth quarter to tie the game or take the lead, and every time the Bills defense was able to limit that from happening. And so, for as frustrating as a lot of that was, when it had to be done, they got it done. Let's get into things I didn't like, and I do want to start with the offensive side of the football. I do not like that this team could not take advantage of great opportunities in the passing game. Great opportunities. 3 huge drops. James Cook, not as big of a deal. But Brandon Cooks, come on, brother. I appreciate that you're available down the field, but you got to make the play, dude. Got to make the play. Costly drop. And then Dawson Knox on 4th down in the end zone. Great rollout, great throw. He's open. Squeeze it and catch the ball and score a touchdown. Get the 2-score win that everybody wants. No, drop the pass and Cleveland's got life. Got to finish. Josh Allen missed a wide open Khalil Shakir on 3rd down on a throw to his left. I try to tell you, Josh Allen to his left on those outbreaking patterns, just not as accurate. Missed the throw. But ultimately, like, those are very easy to identify. 3 big drops, a missed throw to Khalil Shakir. But ultimately, watching this game and seeing how Cleveland play defense, which is basically just saying, we don't think you have very good receivers and we don't care about them. Just playing cover 1 with press man on the outside all day long and not having a receiver that can route somebody up. Crazy. Like, just disrespectful the way they lined up. Disrespectful to the wide receivers. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. They're not wrong. What, I mean, did the Bills have any catches from their outside receivers? Shavers had the one. Palmer on like a little rollout. They couldn't do anything. And I get it, like Tyson Campbell's an A-list corner, but their slot corner is replacement level, and they're down Denzel Ward. So you got a backup at one corner spot, and then a slot player that's struggled all year long. You couldn't do more damage? I think that Myles Garrett was firmly in the head of not only Josh Allen, but Joe Brady and this entire offensive game plan and execution. And I understand that to an extent. But, I mean, you could still take advantage of press man coverage on the outside and win a route and throw a ball. They just didn't. The Bills start this game offensively with 3 straight touchdown drives. 3 series in a row, 3 straight touchdown drives. They look good. And then the wheels fell completely off. And look, credit Cleveland, they have a great defense. But this team, after going up 20-10, 3 touchdown drives in a row, the wheels fell off. And it started when the Bills took possession of the ball inside of 2 minutes, and the double dip opportunity is right there. The Bills get 9 yards on 1st down. It's a 2nd and 1 play. I repeat, 2nd and 1. And that's the play where Josh Allen does unthinkable things. Turns his back to the line of scrimmage, runs towards his own goal line, takes a 22-yard loss on 2nd and 1, and nothing about the offense was ever the same again in that game. It's a boneheaded play by Josh. There's no excuse. I mean, just take a regular sack, throw the ball away, throw the ball at the feet at somebody. Anything other than that. 2nd and 1. You turn your back to the line and take a 22-yard loss. And you hurt your foot along the way. We don't know the severity of it. We know that he got an x-ray at halftime. He finished the game. I don't think that everything is just perfectly fine with that foot. I'm concerned about it. After that, 3 consecutive touchdown drives, offense turtles up. They punt on that possession. They punt on that first drive coming out of the half. They get a turnover on downs. They go 7 plays, 36 yards. They get another 3 and out. They go 5 and out. They get the end of game circumstance. The only time they scored was because of the Joey Bosa tip to Daquan Jones, a short field. The Bills only got 2 yards in that drive. They get a field goal. After those first 3 drives, the Bills had 6 possessions and 50 yards. 3 points. Again, courtesy of a short field. I mean, when your entire game plan is to run the ball to the right, roll out to the right, you didn't have a drop back passing game ready to go for this. Thank God they scored on those first 3 drives, because from that 2nd and 1 play forward, it was a mess. So I didn't like that. And that's why I'm talking about it under things I didn't like offensively. All right, we'll talk things I didn't like defensively here on the other side of it. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. And live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel is going to let you jump into that moment. They have live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props that update as guys heat up. You can bet the next touchdown score, drive results, totals, and more. It's going to keep you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. Tons of good football right now. These playoff pushes, you're going to have holiday games this week. So make those games even more exciting by getting in on the live betting over at FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, we're continuing to discuss things I didn't like. We're focusing on the defense right now, and I'm frustrated with this defense. Frustrated. That's not a good Browns offense at all. At all. And they're down 3 starting offensive linemen. They lose their best offensive player, Quinshad Junkins, during the game. And it just felt like the Bills' defense operated with a lack of awareness to what that offense was. A very limited operation that can't throw the ball down the field with any level of consistency. And they just thrive on short passes, screens, rollouts, checkdowns, shallows. That's all it was. And the Bills are drifting in zone coverage, playing top down. Like, what are we doing here? They can't throw the ball down the field. You're very good at defending throws down the field. It's Sheduer Sanders. He holds on to the football. He doesn't have that much arm talent. Why are you making it easy for him? Just drifting in coverage, opening up those underneath zones, and they're getting completions left and right. It's gross. You saw the limitations of Sheduer Sanders. He makes the one throw rolling to his right, kind of fits it in the tight window. There is no way he was going to stack throw after throw after throw down the field to beat you. So why are you letting him dink and dunk and roll out and throw checkdowns? You're running an all-out blitz on 3rd and long. Just rally and make a tackle in that situation. That's when you chose to be aggressive? On 3rd and long, just get off the field. Very limited offense. And you didn't make it hard enough on him. Terrell Bernard was a mess in this game, and I struggle with him. Because I know he's banged up, right? It looks like he's got a robot for his right arm. He can't run, right? Something's wrong in the lower half. I'm sure that affects his processing. Missed tackles all over the play, blown assignments, sucked up on run fakes. Doesn't take on blocks with the right leverage. He's a mess. Now, he's banged up, and it's not a very sturdy situation in front of him. I mean, you watch the game, and the defensive tackles in front of him are sometimes Daquan Jones, who's obviously like your redeeming player at defensive tackle, but then it's Phi Mathis, who hasn't played in weeks. It's CJ Sanders, who hadn't played defensive tackle in weeks, and Deion Walker, who's extremely high variance. So, yeah, I mean, what do I expect out of him? But he was a mess. Missed tackles were a problem in this game. Greg Rousseau missed a sack that allowed them to extend and get a first down. Dorian Williams missed a tackle for loss that allowed them to extend and get a first down. Terrell Bernard, multiple missed tackles. It's like a fundamentals game, right? Like, not tackling well enough, not smart enough with how you schematically play defense, catching the football, making accurate short throws. It's kind of stuff that adds up, and you wind up playing a 23-20 game when you're 10.5-point road favorites against a 3-win team that can't play offense. Michael Badgley, like, obviously we learned why the Colts cut him. Doinks an extra point, which is the reason he got cut. Goofed to kickoff. I mean, whatever, dude. I get it. You're off the street, but, like, come in and just make extra points and kick the ball into the landing zone. Not that hard to do. The inactive decisions in this game were very curious to me. Larry Ogunjobi was inactive, and I think Larry Ogunjobi's been horrible this year. I've commented on that routinely. A black eye of a signing, especially after you go through with the deal, after he shows up and says, hey, I know we haven't signed this deal yet. I'm going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the season. Brandon Beane and him sit down behind closed doors, and they come out of the room with a deal signed that includes void years for next year. So the Bills will be paying Larry Ogunjobi next year as well. So in a game where Jordan Phillips is ruled out, Larry Ogunjobi doesn't go either. And so now your defensive tackle situation consists of Phi Mathis, who hasn't played in weeks, not a very good player to begin with, and TJ Sanders in his first game exclusively at D tackle in weeks. You're willing to play with fire? I know that Larry's been disappointing this year, but come on, like, this wasn't the game to do that. And then you call up Andre Holmes from the practice squad. I thought he actually played pretty decent on the live watch, but Javon Solomon also was called up. So I think if I'm going to criticize having Larry Ogunjobi inactive, I should find the player that I would have inactive instead, and I would point to either Holmes or Solomon. Just have one of them inactive and have Larry Ogunjobi and just preserve bodies at D tackle. Gabe Davis inactive. It makes me wonder. It's a couple games in a row now that he's been inactive as a healthy scratch. You know, is he working through a flare-up on the knee or something like that? I don't think that highly of Gabe Davis, but I mean, he's made some plays. It's not like he's made mistakes. I mean, who else has made more plays down, like, lately at outside receiver than Gabe Davis? I'd probably have him out there. And then you have Mecole Hardman back for this game. It's like you activate him, or you start his 21-day window, you activate him, get him out on the field. He doesn't play a single snap of offense. The Bills have 2 chances for punt returns, and Hardman does one of them. He looks slow as can be, right? That dude that he was trying to outrun, you really can't win this race? And then the second punt return, they put Shakir out there. So what's the point there? Kind of frustrating inactive decisions in this game. From an injury perspective, 3 situations that I'm monitoring, and I understand that there could be something else that I maybe missed, but there's 3 things that stand out to me right now. Sean McDermott after the game said that Jordan Poyer, if the defense had to go back out there, he wasn't available. So don't know what's going on there. I hope it's nothing. Josh Allen's foot, I'm concerned about it. And Shaq Thompson had the neck injury. Looks like he had some tingling in his hand. Didn't finish the game, and Terrell Bernard had to go out there and play. The defense is better when Shaq Thompson's out there. I know he was not that good against New England, but collectively that defense was better. So I hope he's fine. And then whatever mystery injuries wind up happening as well, which is inevitable every week. Some player that finished the game, you had no idea had a problem, is going to be injured and out. We'll find out what that is on Monday. Predictions. I always like to recap my predictions. I go 4 for 5 this week. The one that I missed was Khalil Shakir. I said 5 catches and 50 yards. He gets 4 catches and 34 yards. So that would have hit I guarantee that would have hit if Josh Allen hit that throw to him on 3rd down. My other predictions, Myles Garrett does not break the sack record. I got that correct. And it's goofy to me that he got half of a sack on whatever the heck that Josh Allen play was. Like, make that make sense. Josh Allen, I think he gave himself up, which means nobody gets a sack. But then to give half of it to Mason Graham and half of it to Myles Garrett, when Mason Graham was the player that touched him first when he was on the ground, like, what is it? That scoring on that is pretty goofy to me. But bottom line, as I said, he doesn't break the record. He would need 1.5. He didn't get 1.5. He gets half. I predicted that Greg Rousseau would get a sack. We smashed that one. He got 2.5. I said no chance Sheduer Sanders throws for 177.5 passing yards. That was his FanDuel over-under projection, was 177.5. He comes in at 157. And I predicted that the Bills would win, and they won. So we go 4 for 5. Next up for the Bills is a home date with the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 at home to close out the regular season. Eagles and Jets. And the Eagles have locked up the NFC East. And so we'll see. Interesting contest. The Eagles are a very talented football team. I don't think they play consistently well, especially on offense. But defensively, they got some good things going, and they present some challenges offensively with a dual threat quarterback in Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and how potent he is. I know he's not having a great year, but he's exactly the type of running back that should give this Bills defense a lot of problems. And, A.J. Brown's, a dude, obviously. They got a good tight end in Goddard. Devonta Smith can win routes, so there's a big challenge for the Bills at home, hoping that they elevate for a team like Philadelphia and get their 12th win of the season. Next up for this podcast, All 22 review. We'll spend all Monday in the tape. We'll get you the All 22 review podcast later in the day. We're going to do Bills Squad. Our midweek episode won't be on Thursday. Thursday is Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody. We're not going to do Bills Squad. We're going to do that on Tuesday at 1:30. So next episode of Bills Squad, Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch that live on YouTube. I plan on a regular week of programming for Locked On Bills, with the exception of Bill Squad goes to Tuesday, and then no herd mentality this week. I have to drop something. That way I can truly take Christmas off and spend that with my family. So that's my intent there. So everything else will be the same. So don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.